Here to share her thoughts and insights is the lawyer Jayshree Gupta, who's the founder and the managing director of Think. Jayshree, thanks so much for joining us live on the show this morning.
Thank you, Tom, and lovely to see you, Denisa. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for agreeing to come here.
Yeah, it's great to have you with us because you've worked in the corporate world, corporate part of an international law firm. You give legal advice, expert legal advice to all industries. Those numbers that you've just been hearing there, obviously with your experience in the corporate world, do they shock you or do they surprise you?
I can't say it's not a recurring theme. I mean, of course, we end up discussing this every time we have Women's Day and the week is all about women, right? But what about the whole year and the last 5 years and the last 10 years? So what Hillary Clinton has been saying is absolutely true. The statistics are even worse last year and this year. I don't know whether it was a post-COVID thing or not. But I also think that you need to look at it in perspective because ultimately there are fewer women entrepreneurs and fewer women looking for funding in their startups. So sometimes I'm not sure how the percentages are sort of cut or the pie is cut. But the truth remains that many women who are looking for that startup funding are perhaps people my age or a few years younger, and they tend to have a very good work ethic. But I think women as a gender undersell themselves big time. We also don't come from a background where we build networks very well. I mean, obviously, I've been with, 3 of the world's largest law firms, and here I am doing my own thing. And I'm lucky to have a very great network, and I'm lucky to be working with many very talented men. So I think you need a lot of support from everybody, not just women in your field, but the men in your field must validate what you're doing, unfortunately or fortunately, because that's the kind of business that the women who are looking for their funding are in. It's a male-dominated world, and the sooner we accept that, the less we beat ourselves up about it, and the faster we react to it, the better the numbers are going to look.
Denisa, your thoughts?
Oh, I agree. I had started try to start my own business just during COVID, and I could say that there were some things that I had faced, and I wish I had some more support from my male counterparts. But I think we're going towards a change. It's something that we've been hearing for years that's changing. But I'd like to stay optimistic and say that at least by spreading awareness, then the next generation has more chances.
Yeah, and I think, for some reason we seem to attract more publicity than the men. So, for example, if a women entrepreneur's business tanks for whatever reason, she's written about, talked about, can never get a job again. We've seen a few of those billionaire sort of models that have gone completely haywire. But for some reason, when a man heading a startup stakes money to do, cryptocurrency trading from the entire world and goes underground, he seems to come back up and find another business to head up. So I don't know whether it's our mentality, the world's mentality, or a combination of the two. But I think we need to stop worrying about what everyone else thinks, right? We sort of have to carry on with our mission and our our own definition of success.
Let's get some more thoughts here. Francois Ortello-Magnet is the Dean of the London Business School. He referred to the award-winning research of his colleague, Dr. Dana Kanzi.
Dr. Kanzi and her co-authors examined the types of questions potential investors ask male versus female founders. They found that in those different types of questions predicted quantifiably difference in how much capital male and female founders raised.
Jayshree, do you agree with that?
Yes and no. I think it comes down to the personality of the women that they're dealing with. So I am lucky enough to represent a number of female-led startups, not only startups, actually funds that invest in other startups, with women at the helm of the fund making the decisions, and they're not making these decisions emotionally. So I think sort of that tag is just wrong. But I think what happens is the people interviewing the women we're talking about on that clip are often men who have their own self sort of perceived, notions about what a woman can and cannot do and how she may be running her business. So I think that's number one. And then I guess the other thing is women are just seen it to be more risky, right? Because we tend to wear 100 hats, whereas a man can prioritize perhaps differently because he doesn't have the challenges. So, I mean, I was just saying, you know, I'm redoing my kitchen, I'm doing my work, I have teenage children, I'm thinking about my golf game at the weekend and what I need to do to win, and I'm running my business. And I'm advising on legal issues which are very pertinent to somebody's livelihood or someone's sort of, it would cost somebody a lot of money if I made a mistake, right? So I think the challenges that women face, especially in this region with the stereotypes of sort of male, female sort of roles, is inherent in the kind of questions the interviewer is asking a female leading a fund.
We are sadly out of time on this occasion, which is just, well, it's criminal really, because we could continue this conversation for a lot longer. Listen, I'm not going to leave this conversation without an opportunity. You mentioned there about running your own business, founder and managing director of Think. Jayshree, if people want to get hold of you and the team at Think, what's the best way for them to go about that?
Our LinkedIn, so either the in-house company Aka Think LinkedIn or my own LinkedIn, Jayshree Gupta on LinkedIn. Probably the easiest way.
Really kind of you to come in. Thanks for sharing your thoughts and opinions and joining us on Starting Up. And of course to you, Denisa, as well. And if people want to find out more about all things Virtue Zone, get yourself online.
At Virtue Zone on Instagram or Google us.
Thank you so much again for being our co-host today. A big thanks to all of our guests today. Do stay tuned.